I'm here with my old friend John Collett of Nightmarer. Formerly, you might know him from successful Apocalypse, Across the Sky, and a stint in Dehumanized, Guy. And we're going to get into all of it right now. John, welcome to the platform. Thank you for your time.
Big Will, it's a pleasure, bro. It's good to hear from you. It's definitely been a minute, so I'm happy to be here for sure. Definitely.
100%, man. And we're going to jump right in. John, I know you're a Queens native. You're originally from Queens?
I'm actually from Forest Hills, Queens. Yeah, my whole life. The majority of it. I lived in a couple of other places, but for very brief periods. But the majority of my life is spent in Queens. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and typical question, from a musical family, musicians older than yourself, or anyone who got you into heavy metal and hard rock as a kid?
So no heavy metal, no hard rock. My parents met in the street. I'm just telling you right now, straight up. They were Studio 54 kids.
Huh.
My mother was blasting the Bodyguard soundtrack in the house. Okay, like that's it. Whitney, Otis Redding, Marvin Gaye, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And my father was the same way. It was just kind of like that. So that's what was going on in the house. And then my grandmother on my father's side, she was a jazz singer, like, you know, during the war and whatever. Like, she was amateur but pro, you know what I mean? And she would do the USO tours and whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, so she was always into that, and then she would be singing in church and what have you. And then her kids, my father was one of seven. You know what I'm saying? This one played the saxophone, this one played the keyboard, blah, blah, blah. And they all, you know what I'm saying? They all did their cover bands. They all had fun, like, throughout their life or whatever, always kept that up. But none of them ever, like, took it serious. And then, like, I was the only one to take it serious. And they're like, really? Death metal? Like, really? Like, what? Okay. You know what I mean? Like, we're, like, for real? I was like, you know, like, whatever. It's like, I'm surrounded with aggression. You know, you know what I mean? Like, what? I live in the city of New York. This is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Or it's rough out here. And this is, you know, like, my early stuff was hip hop for sure, like early, right? But then, like, you know, you start to get with the groove, and you start listening to, you know, I don't know. I think a lot of hip hop transitions into death metal though. So, but that's just me. In certain ways, I'm a weirdo.
I don't think it's that weird regionally, especially you being from Queens. It's just hip hop is whether you like it or not. Hip hop is there. Like, there's a lot of people, I think, in, like, the metal and hardcore scene in Long Island and Queens and Brooklyn who, like, resist hip hop at a younger age, and then, like, eventually you just break. You're like, fuck it, Big Pun is ill, Eminem's ill, whatever. You know, I'm saying,
like, I'm from Queens, and Nas is up the street. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I can't. You know what I mean? This is just beautiful to me again, and it's again, you know, like, you grow up in these areas and you're kind of tight and you can relate, you know what I mean, to a certain degree. So I don't know. It always kind of blended.
It's
aggressive music just generally is a thing, you know. So
it's a regional thing, man. All right. So getting into that, tell me about your journey into, like, the more extreme end of metal and hardcore, man. Like, you know, what was your quote unquote gateway bands? When did you discover that there was this underground scene and not everyone was a rock star, and so on and so forth? You know, that type of thing.
Well, I think, you know, we're gonna stay a little regional, and we're gonna stay real Queens right now when we start talking about Castle Heights, right? I mean, that's just the home base. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. And when you got Cryptopsy one weekend, and then you got bands like, you know, whatever, everybody gets hurt another weekend. You know what I mean? Just, like, the variety that was just there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't deny what was going on at the time, you know? So I don't know, that venue was just pinnacle. And I was introduced at a very, very, like, I don't know, like 16, 17 years old, like, going to see these shows or whatever at this venue. And, just kind of having it all blend together at once. Again, like, super, like, I would say the tail end of, like, real deal hardcore into, like, the metal chorus stuff, the breakdown hardcore and whatever. And then, you know, again, like, then what I gotta say, like, Suffo plays the next week or whatever,
Yeah.
like it's just what it is. You know what I mean? So it just kind of worked out. I was exposed to a lot in like literally one place. And then I was at, then there's a ton of venues around or whatever, but like, I don't know. I got lucky as far as that goes, for sure. It just all happened at once, you go from like, oh, I like this 7-string sound. For me, this is for me, like the 7-string sound of like early Korn, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like that heaviness was like, it resonated with me. And then my boy, like this kid that I hung out with like early, super early in high school, like this kid, I went to high school with him for 1 year, this kid Lou. I've never seen him again after this 1 year of high school. And he just pulled me aside and he's like, yo, hammer smash face, boom. And he hit the play button and I'm like, what is, you know what I mean? I couldn't make head or tail of it. But the breakdown hit and I was like, oh, this is literally all I've ever been looking for, just period. End of story. Was just that breakdown in that song. I had never heard anything as savage as that ever, so it sucked me right in. And then I go up to Sam Goody in Forest Hills. If anyone knows, 71st and Continental, you know what I mean? Like that's right by the LIRR spot, the train stop right there. Excuse me. You know exactly what I'm talking about. There was a Sam Goody right there. And I walked in there and I bought Live Deicide. What is it? When Satan Rules the World? Is that what is it? Is that you know what I'm talking about that? I bought that one with the Pieta on the cover, I think it was. I bought that one and I bought Pierced and I bought the Hammer Smash Face single. For some reason they had it in there, the disc. At this Sam Goody. It was crazy. I was like, what? It was crazy. But that was it, like I was hooked. Quick,
man,
quick, fast.
You just took me right back because I think you and me are just about the same age, man, or at least have the same memories.
I just turned 40 this year.
Yeah,
I just turned 40 this
man.
Year. Yeah,
something
so like,
about
the
late 90s and like you could have I don't want to step on you too quick, but I just quickly, man, I had this vision of like a 5-disc, box CD changer that you would have in your room or in your car if you were really sick, and you would have like E-Town,
only in the bedroom. Yeah. Oh, come on, bro.
E-Town, Candiria, Suffocation, and Big Pun, and it would all make sense,
Sir. Hello? Hello? Correct forevermore, bro. Definitely. That's just what it was.
Yeah.
That's just what it was. And you know what? And you want to go with Candiria? That's like, let's not even... Early Candiria shaped me as a person, period. That music was so tremendous, the influence it had on me as a human being. Forget it. Much less music. I mean, I still like geek out on those old videos that are uploaded from years back, you know what I mean? Like of Ken, like this dude, as far as musicianship and not even just drummer, but like, Ken Schalk or Candiria, like huge influence on me as far as a musician goes. And I'm not a drummer. You know what I mean? It's just a caliber that you need to be in order to claim yourself as good. You know what I mean? Like these guys, him in particular, and that band Masters, as far as music goes, in my opinion, they bridge the gap. That's a definitive New York band. That's extreme music. It's straight jazz and funk and hip hop, and none of it was bad. It all blended, and it was dope.
Yeah,
absolutely dope.
Yeah,
those early records just blew my mind, bro.
So significant of the time period, man. Still inspiring
for sure.
Music, man. Wow. All right, so
for sure.
So, John, I know, some of the listeners might know that for a time, if I got it right, between 04 and 07, you did front Dehumanized.
I did.
From Queens. But prior to that, I mean, was there experimenting around with bands we might know about, or quote unquote high school bands, things like that?
So funny enough, I was in a band called Fifth Faction, and it was we're going to go right back to it. We wound up, I don't really know what happened. I don't know who made this connection. I'm pretty sure it was my guitarist at the time, my friend Anthony Fernandez. We're still friends. We still chat here and there. all these years later. I met the kid when I was 18 or whatever. But he hooked up with Canderia's publicist at the time.
Huh.
So, like, this guy, like, had a little bit of a studio up in Connecticut, and we wound up recording with him. We did a demo up there, and we wound up actually having Carly on the demo. He's actually on this recording. Carly Coma from Canderia is on this demo. And it's like the funnest, coolest little thing that I have. You know what I mean? Because nobody knows about it. It's mine. You know what I mean? And we did this little thing. And it's something that I hold personal. You know what I mean? Is it great? You know what I mean? That is very debatable. You know what I'm saying? Very, very debatable. But, yeah, man, that band was great, dude. We had a lot of fun. I mean, bro, like, I did my first ever tour with this band. We were in, you know how it is, dude. We were in a '78 Chevy, and I'm talking about this vehicle. This van was doo-doo brown, okay, with the tan plush interior, with no AC, and we're going to Miami and we're going to New Orleans to play a couple of shows to nobody that we have no idea, but they're booked, so we're going. You know what I mean? We're going,
dude. I feel like I remember the name.
Yeah, we played around, bro.
Yeah,
we played, yeah, for sure. Yeah. We did a couple of shows, for sure. We absolutely did. We played, we tried, for sure. We tried, and we had fun, and I think the band was presented well as far as a live band and what have you. But we were a bunch of kids, and nobody knew what the hell we were doing at all. As far as even songwriting goes, let's be honest. But it was a lot of fun. We actually did a full album with Ken Schalk and his brother Steve in the Rockaways across from the studio. You know the studio over there, but over by where Dehumanized used to rehearse or whatever.
Yeah, vaguely. Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? There's an old spot in the Rockaways that still exists. It didn't get flooded out from Sandy or whatever, surprisingly. But Dehumanized rehearsed at this place, and then across the street for a number of years, Ken and his brother had like a working full studio in there. They were like mixing and doing bands and stuff. It was pretty great, and we did a full album with those guys, and never saw the light of day. You know what I mean? Everyone went on to do other things, and I got a taste for it, and I kept going. And that's it. You know what I mean? Like, I love it. I'm just a lifer, bro. Like, I can't help it.
That sounds like it was probably around the same time I was doing stuff with Cursed Earth when I was in high school. And I feel like, did you ever play shows maybe with Salted Wounds at like Voodoo Lounge or any place like that? Or
Nah.
Okay.
No,
All right.
No, but I definitely remember that band.
Yeah, I'm trying to place Fifth Faction rings a bell. But all right. So I take it that maybe being in that area and being around that studio, is that how you kind of get associated with the Dehumanized guys, and then an opening and the band opens up and you pop in?
So what's very funny is I never meet those guys ever. And you already know they've been, at that point, they had been broken up, and they weren't doing anything for a minute already. So like a friend of mine used to date a member in the band, and the word on the street is they're possibly looking to play some shows and reunite and do all this, that, and the third. And this is naturally a band that, I grew up listening to, like, straight up. That's just what it is. Like, I grew up listening to bands like Dehumanized, namely Dehumanized, with my friends in that band, Through the Discipline. I don't know if you remember those cats from back in the day.
Yeah.
Like a thrash man from the neighborhood or whatever. I'm still good friends with Mike. But, like, me and them and whatever, the little bit younger generation, the deal, bro. Like, I was listening to that all the time, that demo and the album or whatever, the combo of the two or whatever. Prophecies was mind-blowing, dude. And then, like, the word was out that they were thinking about doing something again, and I was feeling real good at the age of 21, and I was like, I got this, and like I somehow managed to, a tryout. Literally, I tried out to be in Dehumanized, and they kept inviting me back for rehearsals or whatever. And then, I swear to God, bro, like, I'm not even kidding. They keep inviting me back. I don't even really know if I'm in the band yet, quite honestly, but I keep going back to rehearsal. I'm like, all right, maybe this is happening, then maybe they're being a little non-committal, whatever. It's fine. Who am I? But then it's like, George is like, oh, yo, we're playing the Maryland Death Fest. It's like, what? Okay, sick. And that's where, I don't know if you remember, but I met you then.
Yes.
We played the second one. We played the second one together.
I remember it vividly. Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
George was there with one of his kids before they opened up.
Oh, forget it.
Yeah, I remember George showing his son around the building before anyone was in there and all that stuff, man. I remember that.
They had a blast.
Very well.
And
Go ahead, I'm
So
sorry.
happy for them. You know what I mean? No, I apologize. No, I was just very happy for them.
It was
because it was a good event. It was a good event for the bandmates, for sure. And for me, it's like, oh wow, like, okay, here we go. This is dope. And I'll never forget, you guys helped us out. BioLick helped us out with gear. Like, you guys were awesome to us, like, immediately. And I'll never forget all that. Good times.
Dude, loaning a cab, you never know who you're going to loan a guitar cab or a head or
I'm telling you,
kick
people
drum
don't know.
to, man.
And we always remember, though. I don't know. I always remember. I always thank. Always. Forget it. Absolutely. It's such a big deal, dude. But yeah, man. So I just, quite honestly, it was literally like I heard something from someone and I just managed to be able to get a shot. And I honestly credit all of that to like where I'm at now, for sure, because there is no successful Right Apocalypse Across the Sky. There's no SWATs if I don't play that gig, because we wound up playing with Bodies in the Gears as well.
Right.
And that's how I met those guys. So that was a trip too. That event, that one show was actually really quite a trip for me.
Wow. So because Bodies in the Gears of the Apparatus played that 04 Metal
Correct.
Fest, the 04 Maryland Death Fest as well, and you end up in SWATs with at least one of those guys, right? Correct.
Well, actually, one of them, one of the original members, and then their final guitarist that they had in the band. Those two guys, along with a new drummer and a bassist, decided to start SWATs together. So two members of Bodies decided to start a new band, and then I joined later on.
Got it. All right. So you played, you did the Dehumanized comeback with them. Did you do any heavy touring? I mean, Dehumanized didn't really tour heavy. They kind of popped up at fests a lot at that point, right?
Correct. Exactly. We played locally. We geared up.
Yeah.
For a few things, that didn't manifest, unfortunately. And listen, it's fine. You know what I mean? I have no regrets. It is what it is, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not mad about any of it.
Yeah.
The reason why that I, obviously I wasn't in the band anymore. It's because like, I literally was like, I have to immerse myself in every bit of this, and that's just what it is for me right now. And I have to go and do this somewhere else, period. And I love everybody. I'm not mad at anybody. Like, this is just what it is for me. And when I was down and cause I was living in Florida when I was doing SWATs, that was like, that was 4 days a week, 5 days a week, bro. You know what I mean? Like, that was serious. We were dead serious. It was a big deal, and that's what I wanted to be doing, so that was just a move. I had to do that.
Well,
absolutely. So
let me stop you there then, because take me through the transition to committing full time to a band that's based out of Florida. Like, you moved down there just to be part of this band. That's a big step right there.
I had to, you know what I mean? Like, I think you can imagine the time frame in New York as far as the metal scene and et cetera and so forth. The mid to early 2000s and the limitations and, venues are closing down. And then, like, I got to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got to play one of the last shows at CBGB's, and that's with Dehumanized. I'm very proud of that, you know. But like, that's what's happening in the city, and it's like there is no Saint Vitus yet. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? You know, like I don't like. There's not going to be anywhere to go soon in this city, like the way it was trending at that point, and I'm really ready to go at that. You know, like I was just the age, you know, early to mid 20s. It's time to, you know, throw my name in the hat. Like, let's go. You know, so I started working on some tours too. Like I started to like mingle around a little bit, you know, for sure. There was a period where I actually, funny enough, I drove for Aborted. They were in a situation. This was when I was like at the tail end of Dehumanized. I drove for Aborted, and then I drove for Suffo a couple of times. You know, so it's like I'm trying to get myself out there. You know, I was looking to work, and I'm glad I made that move for sure. Absolutely.
For the listeners who might not realize, just signing on to a tour to be a driver and occasionally sometimes also be sell the merch, like, you know, it's usually some sort of combination of a roadie and a merch guy and a driver that you sign on to with these bands. I don't like, for the listeners who don't know, I just like, you know, bands I've been in have taken on friends that perform that role. It's a rigorous task. It's sometimes a thankless task. And it's kind of like, it's almost like being an intern in death metal in a way, man. I don't know if you agree with any of that, or if you maybe could just elaborate about your experiences driving those bands around.
I was happy I got a shirt. Are you kidding me? No. There were always financial agreements, and I never felt slighted. Look, I'm a young guy at that time. You know what I'm saying? And I'm watching some of the, you know, come on, man. Like, I'm a big Suffocation fan, definitely at that point, heavily, you know. So I'm getting to see this band every night. And then, you know, there were actually, you know, it's funny, man. Yeah, I got to do Funeral Inception with Frank a few times, and that's like a highlight of my life. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of fun, dude. You know, that's a lot of fun. And that's just from driving, you know, that's just being out there and whatever. And that's my reward, bro. Like, it's terrible. Are you kidding me? My feet stink out there, bro. Are you kidding me? I was nasty out there as a young man. Come on. You know, it's thankless. It's nasty. It's gross. It's, you know, people know, but the people that don't know, it's horrible. You know what I'm saying? This is death metal. It's not, you know, it's not a walk in the park. Come on. Let's be honest.
But,
you know,
but it sounds like it got under your skin.
You do it for the payoff. Oh, forget it. Absolutely. The payoff is tremendous if that's what you're looking for as a human being. If that's what you desire, the payoff is tremendous because you're meeting all these people. You're experiencing this music. I mean, you're with people that you grew up, you know, dissecting their music, and then you get to break bread with them. Really, you're eating meals with them, and you're hanging out, and you're listening to your favorite songs. I mean, it's wonderful. You know, it's absolutely tremendous, and I had a phenomenal time. And it was, you know, it was equally as terrible as amazing. Let's be honest, but you know, it was. But the good times, tremendous, absolutely tremendous.
Yeah, man.
Forget it. I love it.
It's addictive. It's for some people it's addictive.
Is. Yes, sir.
And other people, for other people, it's like the breaking point of, like, you know, they just want to be a hobbyist musician. So, you know, some people it's not addictive, but I think you and I both kind of caught the bug at a similar age, man, because like you say, you go down to Florida, you join SWATs. For the listeners, that's Successful Right Apocalypse Across the Sky, if they're not familiar. You guys put out the is it Subhuman Empire EP in 2007?
Correct.
Correct. And then quickly start working with Nuclear Blast, who put out your 2009 The Great Partition and the Abrogation of Idolatry.
Yes.
Now I want to talk about this a little bit. Like, maybe just you move down there. You say 4 days a week. Tell me a little bit about this band cutting that EP. Nuclear Blast, obviously, you know, is you know, you guys are working with them fairly quickly. Take me through that.
Well, honestly, it was, like I said, I'm looking to work. These guys are looking to work, and that's just really what it was. We cut that EP in 3 weeks of me living there,
Wow.
Probably less. Yeah, they were. extremely motivated. One of the guys is in his early 30s. He's feeling pressure in his life. You know what I mean? And it's like, let's get cracking. And I'm down. I'm into it. So, funny enough, we wound up, and I walked into this, but we were rehearsing in the U Storage on Skipper Road. And if you look this place up in death metal lore, I'm telling you that you're going to find this spot. This is where Morbid Angel and Death, and I'm not going to say Obituary, but I think Obituary, but I am aware of this hub that's existed since, I don't know if it exists anymore. I'm pretty sure it doesn't, actually, because you don't want to know the way they were running electric. Let's be honest. It was, this is the middle of Florida, you know what I'm saying? At an outdoor storage facility made of zinc, you know what I mean? And bands are rehearsing up in there. But this place existed since the early 90s. And SWAT's wound up having a little space in there. And, that period, that I swear, that was one of the hardest things that I ever did, was make an EP with those guys in a short amount of time, and just cut it quick. Literally, it was just out. I don't know if you remember, there was this label called DeBello Records. It was a very small, kind of a MySpace label. Let's be honest. You know what I'm saying? They're putting on metalcore, grindcore type stuff, whatever.
I do remember that name.
Stuff with they did stuff with bands like Robinson, and they did some cool stuff out of Pittsburgh. Machinist. There's a good handful of bands. This guy Ethan's old band was on there, Clinging to a Tree of Forest Fire, something like that.
Yeah, that might be where I know it
from. Primitive Man.
Yeah, we interviewed him. That might be where I recognize it from. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was on that, they were on that label and whatnot. It was a cool little label, man. And they were down to put out the demo, the EP. And, we got the artwork and we just, we rocked it out. There was another dude who had barely a recording studio in another storage unit next to us, our friend Nick Goodyear, down in Tampa. He had a little spot or whatever, and he took us in and recorded this thing, and I don't know, man, we just came out swinging. That's just what it was. And that is something that will always stick with me, was being in a band, from its inception and watching it grow exponentially, show after show. It was really something to behold. It was really cool because a lot of these bands down in the Tampa region, obviously, they're emulating the greats, so it gets redundant, it gets boring, but we threw our little 2 cents in, and we were down to play with all the extreme bands, I can't even remember, honestly, a quarter of the bands we played with, it was because it was just the amount of live performances is just kind of mind-boggling when I'm thinking about it right now. But yeah, we just came out swinging, and week after week, or show after show, I should say, 10, 15, 25 kids more, and this is, again, over a 6-month to a year period. And we're gaining some traction, and there's still some of the old heads down there, and they're starting to hear about us. And so we wind up, we did a couple of tours. Yeah, we did a couple of full U.S. tours. We did, which was amazing. We did a U.S. tour with that band Maruda from Miami. Mitchell Luna, my boy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
He's been on the show before too. Yeah, I interviewed Mitchell a while ago.
That is my brother, bro. Yeah. That is my man, heavy. You know what I mean? That's my guy. And since then, so it was really cool because we got to play with them semi-often, and we were able to build each other up. And there was another band down there called Con. They did something on Black Market, and that was a cool little hyped up label back then. There was a good handful of bands that we were all able to play with, and we all kind of grew up together. And but for us, it all kind of transpired within a year, where people are starting to hear about us a little bit, and we got thrown on an off-day show for Ozfest in Orlando, and it was these guys, Sonic from Korea, if you remember them. We got thrown on a show with Sonic and Nile.
Wow.
And we were like the direct local support on this stupid sold-out show at this venue called The Haven in in Orlando.
I know The Haven
and
very well, yeah.
Bro, it was popping. It was crazy. And there's video of it. It is nuts. And I guarantee 3/4 of the people did not know who we were, but they went nuts, And then I don't know what happened, but I swear to you, like I got a message, like from what seemed like a bot. I'm not even kidding. On MySpace, something I'm checking the SWAT's page and whatever, and it's saying this is a representative. I'm not going to say who it is, but this is a representative from Nuclear Blast Records, and it's a very high up person. And I'm like, okay, we would like to talk to you about working together. It's like, that's a little crazy. And around that time, after the Nile show, the Sonic show, we started to, because rest in peace to Frank Watkins. The guy was always straight up, beautiful person to me, the old bass player of Obituary. Rest in peace to him. He actually took on a management position for us. And so we do that. Yeah, this is all like within this time frame of like this Nile show, and he's getting word about us, and he's in contact with us, and then someone, to go back to the MySpace thing, reaches out from Nuclear Blast and is like, hey, we want to work with you. And it was that fast. It was a matter of weeks where all this transpired. We play this show, we gain management, and then boom, we get a contact from, arguably the biggest metal label in the world, right? And it's just like, we kind of set a goal amongst ourselves that's what we wanted to happen. And I'm not even kidding. We were very, very adamant internally, like, we want to go hard. We want to sign a deal. We want to take this very seriously. We didn't know what signing a deal was at that point, obviously, let's be honest. Come on, look, but it brought us to Europe. It helped us with touring and what have you. But that being said, we signed this thing relatively quickly in our favor for the most part, to a certain extent. Obviously, it's never really in your favor, but, we didn't necessarily get hosed, it just kind of worked out that way where, we just started playing, and we played a lot, and we got signed to a big label. And that's what happened. And it was weird as hell. Like, that's what happened. Crazy.
Well, hard work and focus. Sounds like you manifested it. Let me ask you this, because I have some notes on the album.
Please.
Mike Heller played drums, right?
Correct.
So was he brought
in? The hell
in?
Out of him.
Was he brought in? Was he just kind of like naturally becoming a member of the band? Did the label help with that? Like, how does Mike Heller? Mike Heller, people don't realize he's in Fear Factory still, I believe, right?
Correct.
Currently,
correct. Yeah. Mike Heller. Mike Heller was doing a Mike Heller Malignancy as well, and what have you. And I met him through that world, right? Obviously, what I'm saying, like, through Dehumanized, playing with Malignancy every couple of days is what it felt like sometimes, which was awesome because I love them. You know what I mean?
Great guys.
But like playing with, come on, like, legends. But like playing shows with them, and then he wound up rehearsing with that. There was a band out of Jersey called Collapsia that our bassist at the time.
Their CD is in my Jeep right now. Their CD is in my Jeep right now.
Wow. Yeah, no doubt. That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. So Heller was jamming with those cats, and the bass player was also in Dehumanized. So, and those guys shared the room with us at one point or another. So I got in with him real good. That's my boy. I love Mike so much. He's a great dude, and what kind of what he brings to the table, Will, right? You know what he's capable of, and the reality is, like, I hit this kid up, and I'm like, I'm giving my guy X amount of time to nail this. I don't know if it's going to happen. And I'm not throwing anybody under the bus when I'm saying this, but that was the reality of the situation. And I said, worst comes to worst, do me a favor, see what you can do with this. I don't remember the day. I think it's less than 7 days. He rewrote the entire album on drums and sent me tracks, basically. Okay, like, you know what I mean? Like demo. He sent me demo of rewritten songs on drums, and he hit a home run immediately. There was no revision. I didn't say do this, that, whatever. Mike, do me a favor. Boom, here, done. Okay, that's what happened. That's the reality of the situation. So I got very fortunate that this kid's my friend, right? I got very lucky, mitigated a lot of overtime on that album, quite honestly. I'm just letting you know. You know, the editing, it wouldn't have worked out in our favor financially. So Heller, I owe him the sun and the moon for that album. No question about it. And, I think it also helped him in certain ways too, like, you put a record out on Nuclear Blast, it's a nice thing, so it helped everybody. It was a beautiful thing. It worked out. It really did. And I'm really proud of him. And like, this dude is like, playing the music he wants to play now. Like, he's really like, he's one of the guys now, in my opinion. It's a beautiful thing. And, yeah, he hooked me up, man. That's just what it is. He took care of me. He blessed me, period. And the guys, they listened to it and they were like, oh, yeah, okay, that's the drumming on the album now. After we had for months rehearsed it one other way, everything was rehearsed a different way. That's the reality of that situation. And this guy came in and nailed it. So,
wow,
awesome.
It's
yes,
that's interesting.
That's my man.
I want to listen to it now, having heard about that. Yeah, Mike Heller,
cool.
A real professional. And as we move forward, just one more thing about this album I want to get into is another name that comes up, produced in many ways by James Murphy, of
yes.
Testament, Death, Disincarnate, etc. The name goes without saying.
Correct. Yes.
What did you meet him and work in the studio with him? I know a lot of this was kind of like long distance recording.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't really long distance.
Okay.
Quite honestly, like we hooked up with Frank Watkins of Obituary, who obviously played music with James, so there was a connection there.
Got it. Yeah.
We wound up outside of doing the drums, which were done in a studio in upstate New York by Heller or whatever at the time. It was all done in James Murphy's studio.
Wow.
Like the whole record was done and tracked in his studio. And that's in the middle of Florida somewhere. I don't even remember what roads I took to get there. You know what I'm saying? Like that was in the middle of Florida. And that was an experience in and of itself, at the time he's healing, he's recovering, the guy's been fighting an illness for a very, very long time. I'm not going to get personal about it, but, he mitigates that. He's able to handle that. And, in my personal opinion, what he gave us, it took time, right? It took, I love him. It took a little longer than it should have. That we're going to put it that way. But as far as an organic sounding extreme metal album, like, I don't know what else could be done, because that's what we wanted and that's what he delivered, period. And Heller is a pain in the butt. Okay, as far as drum sounds go, he's picky. He has every right to be. Whatever, what I mean, just how people are, and that's fine. He was happy. You know what I mean? Like the guy nailed it. In my personal opinion, I learned how to do vocals with him. Period. he's the first guy that ever gave me a mix in my head that I could understand what the hell I was doing, Will. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Like, I got it. Like, it just all clicked because of, whatever little mix he threw on my cans. He's like, no, I'm good at tracking vocals. This is me prior to doing anything with him. I'm good at tracking vocals. You're going to see. And it's like, okay, that's good to hear. Right. I don't know what that means. And, I mean, the sound that he was able to send to me helped me tremendously, and knowing, really how to track vocals properly. Like, it was a total game changer for me personally working with him. And those songs that we had, as a band at that time, had been working on them extensively. We turned down a couple of tours at that time because we were just rehearsing that stuff to death. So a lot of tracking really went smoothly, specifically the vocal stuff, because of the work that he did and the way that he set me up to succeed. That's a fact. That is what it is. And now forevermore, I know what I'm looking for and can plan accordingly. And, I've just gotten gradually comfortable tracking because of that whole thing. So, yeah, it was great. It was great. And then, it's James. Listen, reality is it's James Murphy, as far as musicianship, we're going to, it's kind of hard to, ignore him, so when he makes suggestions, it makes you think, and that was all very, very appreciated. It was a big learning process. And it was actually, again, it took too long, it just did. It took way too long, but the end result I was very happy with. And when I could look back at that, it was a very, very, very pivotal moment in my just vocal life. 100%. Yeah. 100%.
Again, going to be interesting for me, and I hope for the listeners too, to go back and review this album with these stories in mind. And let me, quickly, to be respectful of your time, but this is one question. I feel like, the last question for this album and this period before we push forward, because you have a lot to get onto. Just the name of that album, the Great Partition and the Abrogation of Idolatry. Did you come up with that?
My guitarist Ian came up with that. He was actually heavy with the lyrics in this band as well.
Okay,
probably half and half. Maybe him 60-40. Honestly, you know what I'm saying. So that was his baby right there. The Grand Partition, the dividing wall. And the destruction of idolatry, worshiping idols, right? Destroy what divides us, which are idols, right? That's just, when we're worshiping things that shouldn't necessarily be worshipped, which are anything, right? That's not a religion. It's just you don't worship things. It's just not like that. You don't do that. That's not healthy behavior. Worshiping something outside of yourself, is a little foreign to me, for sure, whatever. But yeah, that's sort of what that was always meant to me anyway. You'd have to fully quote him on that, but I believe those are the conversations we had, so yeah, that's a little bit about that meaning for that album title. Yeah.
Okay, and one last thing I wanted to ask you about before we get into, of course, Nightmarer. Who you guys are going to be releasing on May 5th of this year, Deformity Adrift, your new album, of which there's a single and a video out. I do want to talk about that in a few minutes, but 2011, you pop up in the band Geigen on their quasi-hallucinogenic Sonic Landscapes album on Willowtip Records, a classic in my opinion. Just maybe take me through that transition from Swats into Geigen, as much as you want to talk about it, and hooking up with Eric Hirschman, the diabolical madman himself. I have a lot of love and respect for that guy. And just maybe that experience.
Yes. Well, the long short of it is, naturally it's a Florida band. They're further south at that time, in Miami. Yes. Guitarist and bassist and drummer, I believe, at the time, I could be mistaken, but definitely guitarist Randy, who was also in Hate Eternal for a little bit. He was on the I Monarch record.
Yeah.
He and Sally Gates were in Geigen. They were down in southern Florida, and Hurstman was in Tampa, right? So we were just playing shows together, you know? And again, it was just another group that we were all coming up together. And whatever happened with SWATs, we're not going to go into full detail, but, you know, we disbanded. We had to call it quits, and that's a full book right there that I'm not going to write right now. You know what I'm saying?
Fair enough. Yeah,
but
fair enough.
Point is, I'm still hungry. You know what I mean? And there's a bit of a transition going on in that group, and I'm friendly enough with Eric, and know of his craftsmanship. You know, quite honestly, as far as music goes. Again, because, you know, we played several times with them. I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm down to lend you my voice. You know what I mean? Because I know that he's going to do what he wants with it, and that's fine. Like, I know that going in, it's like, this is how this is going to be built, because this group is his baby. That's what it is, you know, and I'm cool with that, because you know what? I've been like half in the driver's seat for a minute now, like with SWATs, you know, for a bunch of years, you know, dealing with every piece of it, you know, and I'm tired, but I still want to work, and I love this guy's playing and his writing style. And I mean, I can't say he has a style necessarily, but you know, just he's nuts, dude. Like, Hurstman is unbelievable. I still, you know, hold him as one of the best period musicians that I've ever had the pleasure of jamming with. No question about it. No question about it. But yeah, it just was like, I heard they were going through a transition. SWATs was done for at that point. And I just wanted to keep moving. You know what I mean? Like, I'm already like, this is my life, you know, like, I'm fully invested in this, and I have an opportunity to make something really super cool with this guy. And, you know, let's make this happen a little bit, you know, let's make this happen. I had already moved back north. Honestly, I had already moved back north. I wasn't in Florida anymore. Once things started to dissipate with SWATs a bit, it was just like, you know, I don't like the heat. I'm out. You know what I mean? Like, that was the only, straight up, that's the only reason for me to ever be in Florida, right? Like, is if I'm doing something, I'm not sitting there. I'm not trying to chill in Florida. It's just not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to boil. It's
Too
not
hot.
me, bro. You know,
Yeah.
It's too hot. It's too hot. It's not comfortable for me. So I'm like, you know, let's transit. You know, I had a partner at that time, and I said to her, let's transition back into New York City. Let's go live up in, you know, I just found us a nice little spot in like Western Massachusetts, right? Like, just really rural, nice. Let's get a little spot and transition back into living in New York. And I had already been living in the Northeast again when the Geigen stuff came about. And it was around that time, I think Eric and his wife moved to Chicago anyway. They moved back to Chicago. So then the band was like officially based in Chicago when I was in the band, like officially. Yeah. So that was cool. But yeah, just a lot of personal stuff, like differences or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just stuff that, you know, obviously we're not going to get into, but like, you know, I had some heavy stuff like personally happen, you know, some like people that I'm very, you know, family member pass away. I'm very tight with that. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
I'm doing a tour. Geigen is, you know, you already know what this means to me. Like, Geigen is opening for Immolation on a tour, right? And this is just a beautiful, you know, for all of us, you know, like, we already know that Immolation are some of the best people in metal, period, you know, like, as far as people go. But then to be on tour with them and to work with them and have it be so smooth and so nice, you know, just like easy to deal with, you know, just a beautiful situation. We were on tour with them, and I lost my pops, you know, and it was like, I was having some differences with some of those people in that group. And, you know, I lost this dude, and that, you know, that super tight with him. And it's just like, you know what, like, I don't need to be out here right now.
Yeah.
I need to be at home. You know what I'm saying? I need to like do other things for a little while. Like I'm not, and I kind of just dipped to be, to be real about it. I just dipped because I was a little, there were certain things, bro. Like I was pissed off, like to be frank about it. Like it's just what it is. I was mad, like about some other stuff, but like involving the group, whatever. But like, yeah, I mean, all that being said, like I'm actually really proud of that record. Like I had a great time touring for it. Dude, like I'm in a group at that time. If people don't know, like Eric Hirschman live, this cat will play the theremin with the headstock of his guitar while he's just, destroying. Like this guy, like if you get a chance, go see the band. Like it's not like that, like this guy is unbelievable, come on, Will, like, you already know what it is with this dude, so please, phenomenal stuff, phenomenal material, loved performing it. It was just like, that was the culmination of like, wow, SWAT's got real funky, and then this is real funky. Like, I'm not feeling this right now. I'm not feeling this, it just did not work out for me. As far as just music at that period, and I was pretty much done, quite honestly. That's just the reality of the situation. I was pretty much finished with all of it. Serious.
Got it. Yeah. Understandable, man. Sorry to hear that. And just
it's life.
Commenting on Hirschman quickly, Eric Hirschman. I have reached out to him behind the scenes, and I every once in a while I communicate with him. I was very fortunate. A band I was in years ago got to open up for them on tour. For several dates, and he's really, I do credit Geigen and Eric Hirschman as being one of the first bands to really bring one of my bands all around the country on a big national tour, man. So that was a big look, and awesome. But the flip side of that,
he's like that.
What's that?
He's like that, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? He loves the hungry. He loves it. He loves it, bro. Like,
that's the thing.
He's hungry friends.
Like we were saying before, he caught the addiction to it for the road and the touring and everything like that. And I think,
correct.
I know, like, he is obsessed with his band in the way that you should be. He's the diabolical mastermind behind Geigen. He runs the show. I've heard from other, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I've heard from people who were in the band at a later period about there's certain rules for how you present yourself on stage and how you, and do, performance of the songs. Like this is a real act here that he runs. And that's of course, not going to be for everybody for the long haul. Respect to all parties,
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to end it like this. There's more to it.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
Just that's just for me, like, as my little period about that. You know what I mean? Like, that's just like, there's some extra, you know what I mean? But again, like, it was being on stage and enjoying that whole, like, it was beautiful creating with this person. It's not even, bro, we did that whole album. If you're familiar with this gentleman, Sanford Parker, out in Chicago.
I was going to ask you about working with him too. Yes.
Oh, well, sorry to jump the gun, but yeah, I mean, that was just a little bit of a, like, again, like, you're going from working with a person like James Murphy to Sanford. It's like I'm covering all spectrums right now in, you know what I mean, in metal production. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, just unbelievable situation, and had I not done Geigen, I mean, that's not a part of my life, like being I mean, when we tracked that album, we basically lived together at Sanford's haunted studio. I'm telling you, that place was haunted, bro. It was a super legendary spot in like Ukraine Village. He's not there anymore, but it was a super legendary spot. They used to have shows and whatever back in the day, but Sanford wound up taking it over somehow. And I don't know, he had the studio in there, and we wound up living there for roughly, like 3 weeks or something, dude. I don't know, maybe could be a little less. It sounds like I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it was a fair amount of time, and we did a full production with him, and that was awesome, dude. It was amazing. You want to talk about feeling free? Oh my God, dude! Just like, if you want, go lick a frog and get in the booth, dude. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I'm saying. But it was like that, though. It was like, let's let's have fun, dude. Let's just make art, man. Let's get into it, you know. And that was being in the studio with Geigen and doing that record. That was a blast, dude. There was stress to it for sure, but like overall, a huge learning experience and phenomenal. I had a blast doing that, and I loved that material for sure. I really did. It was really a pleasure. A pleasure, absolutely.
It's a great album, and could you just elaborate a little bit on the haunted studio aspect of it, like with
I don't know, man. Like there's just, I don't know, creaks and cracks and just like things. You know, it's an old building that's probably just constantly settling, but it just feels like.
All right.
800 people got killed in there once. There's mad tile everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, it's just grimy, dude. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like a grimy spot. It felt like a cafeteria in like a damn, you know, in the cuckoo's nest. I don't know, bro. It was just this really weird spot. You know, It was a really weird, just like kind of like spooky ass spot, and like you know what I mean? Like, I was burning a lot. Let's be honest. I was burning a lot, and they were trying to tell me haunted stories about it. I'm like, yeah, whatever, bro. Get out of here with that. You know what I mean? But then, you'd be trying to go to sleep, and it's like, yo.
Yeah.
What? You know what I mean, bro? Like, this is uncomfortable right now. This is uncomfortable, you know? You just remember that. But it was all part of the experience, bro. Like, you could hear that record is wild. Super wild. It was a wild album, dude. And it was a lot of fun, dude. Yeah, super wild, bro.
The production sounds like a Led Zeppelin record or something. Like it's produced like a wild rock record, you know, like.
Bro, he's vintage, bro. Hurstman is vintage, dude. As far as you know what I mean, like he's a vintage kind of dude. Like, and of course, you know, I always love that. You know, he's true to that too. You know, he's like that.
Yeah.
He plays the wildest stuff, but he's not gonna really like. He's not trying to overproduce it like that. It's just not him, you know. It is more like, you know, like these guys are Hawkwind guys, bro.
Yeah.
You know, like these guys are, you know what I'm saying? Like
they're from the generation.
They just from that, they're from that world and whatever. Like, I'm like, look, I'm 40 and I'm like, look at these old bastards. You know what I mean? Like, what the?
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, I thought I was ancient up in here. Damn, you know, like what is this? But yeah, a lot of exposure. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like a lot of exposure to different music and whatever. Like the whole Geigen thing was really, again, a phenomenal learning experience. It was really great in that aspect.
All right.
There's no question about it.
So,
yeah, man.
So I've brought you this far. I appreciate you giving me and the listeners so much insight into these other bands you were part of in your life and how that, because
I never speak about it. I don't speak about it, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's quite a catalog, and it's quite a kind of journeyman have Mike Will travel story. They're all notable projects and bands. So with no further ado, take me into Nightmarer, which is of course your band that is still currently active and releasing Deformity Adrift, your brand new album on May 5th, 2023. But it's of course I believe your second album and your fourth actual release, right?
Yes, yeah, that's the truth. We're actually going to be putting it out on our in-house label, Total Dissonance Worship, that Simon runs. And yeah, like how that all began was like, again, we're going to go back to SWATs. I'm in Europe with War from a Harlot's Mouth, if you remember that name from back in the day. This was like a jazzy, like metal chorus band out of Berlin or whatever. You know what I mean? It was, again, this was the good side of the MySpace bands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like these guys were insane, and there was a series out there called Thrash and Burn. If you remember back in the day, they had a few. It's a festival tour, you know, and they did a couple in the U.S. and they did a couple in Europe, and we wound up touring with. That tour was this band. It was funny. And I'm still friends with a couple of these dudes. We made a lot of friends on that tour, actually. But this band, Arsonists Get All the Girls. Okay, they were a Cali band, whatever. You know,
that name I remember,
yeah, of course. You know, flip-flops and pink guitars, and they were amazing dudes. Like, whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, you know, like these guys were phenomenal guys, you know, whatever.
California.
And it was Cali dudes, you know, and it was It was whatever, whatever. It was fine. We had a fun time, But it was a good head full of bands. Like Darkest Hour was a headliner
awesome.
on this tour. Beneath the Massacre was on the tour. We're tight with those dudes still. Love those guys. Shout out to Beneath and all those dudes. Phenomenal band. Love those guys. Elliot is a ridiculous vocalist. Those guys are amazing. So, but we, SWAT's wound up touring with this package, and War's on that tour. And yeah, I think you're going to appreciate this. We got cool. It's whatever. Everyone. It's a pretty smooth tour actually. Like it was really nice. Darkest Hour guys are chill. Obviously, they're just an American thrash band. They're fine. They're just down. Love those dudes. Whatever. Back then, that's I don't know the lineup changes now. Whatever. But had a great time. And so it's a beautiful tour. We're having fun. And I wind up like I'm standing in front of the venue in Milan, right? And like it's a beautiful night. I'm just chilling and whatever. And Simon, the guitarist of War from a Harlot's Mouth, we've exchanged pleasantries so far on this run, but somehow like we just start kicking it or whatever. And he's talking to me about Gangstar, and I'm like, what? I'm like, how does this? What? This dude's from Berlin, like what? Like he knows about like that, he knows about like hip hop, like legit, like, and we started like back and forth, like talking about some, yeah, man.
That's
so
awesome.
It was the hip hop connection.
I love it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, bro. Like that. It was the hip hop connection, and we started just talking about stuff and whatever, and we just, like, we all did the tour. It was it was really one of the best tours I've ever done, just from like, tour bus, everyone's chill, having a good time. And there was no drama. Like outside of my band, forget it. Like we were a mess for sure. SWAT's was a mess at that point, internally it was ridiculous, but we performed, we did our thing. We had a good time. And, yeah, but I connected with Simon out there, and, we just happened to stay in touch over the years. And, like I love this guy's writing style, he's phenomenal. He and Paul Seidel from War, the drummer of that band, from War from a Harlot's Mouth, they decided to end their project, and they wanted to continue. They wanted to do something else, and Simon is starting to really get heavy with Deathspell, and you know what I mean. Like everything is starting to really transition for him internally with music, and not to say he hasn't always been into extreme bands, but like it's getting more so now, and he's just like, I'm not really feeling it. These guys are like, I'm not feeling this crowd, this is not what I signed up for necessarily. Let's do something different. And he and Paul, he and the drummer decided to do something else. And yeah, I had been in touch with Simon for mad long, like, yo, let's do something, whatever. And he was like, yeah, we're trying out vocalists. We're going to start something new. And I'm like, yo, like, what's up? I would love to collaborate with, like we're cut from the same groove cloth. You know what I mean? To a certain degree, we're groove dudes, that's our bread and butter. And it's like, I know that, I could add some low end to his low end. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He brings the dude I've always been really privy to his writing style, and I knew it was going to get even a little darker with this new band. I'm like, yo, man, like I would love to throw my name in that hat, whatever, what's up, and they tried out a few heads, but it worked out, and yeah, we cut a demo, and funny enough, I actually tracked vocals with, I don't know, do you know Jay Newman? You know Jay Newman from Unearthly Trance?
Jay Newman from Unearthly Trance. I've recorded.
That's my dog, bro.
Yeah, I've recorded at Jay's house. Yeah, man.
Of course, at his house, right? Hell yeah, man, definitely.
At his basement.
Yeah, yo, it's a small world, bro. Small world.
That's
bro. But
funny,
yo,
man. Yeah.
So I laid down some very rough stuff, and they were like, yeah, okay, cool. Let's progress. Let's do a demo, and they sent me the songs, and. Yeah, I went over to Jay's house because I had met him through my job, and I just see this cat with the Morbid Angel fitted on. I'm like, what? You know what I mean? Who are you, bro? You know what I mean? He's been a tech for years. He's a tech, high level musician. This guy is a sick, instrument tech as well as a phenomenal bass player or what have you. But I met him. And like, this is all during that time. And I'm like, yo, man, I need somewhere to record my vocals, bro. And he's like, come through, dude, you know? And I laid the first demo tracks for the first demo at his place. Yeah, man. So much fun,
awesome.
dude. Great guy, man.
Yeah,
you already know he's the best.
Jay's good
Great
people,
guy.
man. Yeah.
Great guy.
That's funny, man. Yeah. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
A lot of fun. Yeah. No. So, no, I love that dude, bro. Like, but yeah, so like, these guys already had a connection with Season of Mist from the final War from a Harlot's Mouth release. And so it was sort of a nice, smooth transition into releasing an album on that label. And we were able to kind of set that up pretty smoothly, you know? Yeah, I mean, it's still a new band. They want to check it out or whatever, but it was a pretty smooth transition. So we got to put out our first album with them, which was a lot of fun, for sure. Yeah, man. That was cool.
Awesome, man. So, like, just building up to getting into this new album a little bit, I want you to talk about, like, I have to credit Heavy New York did interview, it's Simon, right? Your guitarist?
Yeah. Simon Sludge.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
So, I have to credit my research. So, he talked a little bit about how after Cacophony of Terror, you guys started gradually adding a little bit more industrial elements to the music and kind of expanding the sound. I don't know if you want to touch on that.
Well, it's just, I think when you think about New York and when you think about places like Berlin, East Berlin or whatever, it's in our blood, bro. Industrial music is in our blood to a certain degree, right? I mean, it's just, these are really intense sort of places, you know, like this big city. That is sort of like our element of grit is the industrial end.
Trains,
you know, because
big machines.
You already know, but crushing. You know what I mean? Imposing buildings, imposing walls. You know what I mean? Just like, the industrial machine of humanity, et cetera, and so forth. You know, it's a lot of it is in time with a chain gang, if you will. You know what I mean? Like we're getting brutalized out here, so we feel that way, we feel that way. And that element kind of lends to the darkness, of it all, really. Yeah. Cause that's just really what it is, man. And just the old, and then, these guys are heavily influenced, Simon, we all come from that relapse school as well, you know what I mean? And all those crazy bands and all that weird shit that we all grew up on. And, we're not afraid to like spice it up a little bit with that stuff at all. We love it. I love it. It's the first time I've ever been able to dabble in it. And for instance, like on Cacophony of Terror, these guys mic'd up a piece of ductwork over in Berlin during the drum tracking. You heard? Like they literally mic'd a piece of tin, you know what I'm saying? HVAC, a piece of HVAC.
That's great.
And smash it with a shovel in time. You know what I mean?
That's and like old school industrial music, yeah.
That we just want, you know what it is, bro. Like we want old school with it, and it's so much fun dabbling in that. It's so much fun. It's great. Bro, I love it. You gotta get like real German guys to have like real industrial music. You know what I mean, man? Like they know what it's all about. Exactly. Facts, bro. And like,
what was it? Kraftwerk, Kraftwerk back in the day.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, 100%. And there's bands over there bringing it too. Still, like there's a lot of like, I don't know, like there's a lot of really good underground stuff over there too that is just like crushing. There's this band that we did there's this band Valborg that maybe we're going to get into a little bit, but these guys are phenomenal with these elements of just like, I don't know, just drudgery and just pounding, it's just great. It's good stuff, man. And yeah, we actually have a friend, Ferenc over there, who's Simon's very good friend. He did a remix like of one of our songs and it's like one of the hidden tracks on the first album. You know what I mean? And it's like more industrial, right? Like he did a full like industrial remix of one of our tunes or whatever. And he does music over there. Yeah, Ferenc. He does this project called Limbs. You can find his stuff through ours for sure. And it's dope. This guy's unbelievable. So yeah.
Interesting, man.
So That's the thing. Yeah, you're dealing with Germans at this point, so you're going to get a little bit of that.
Well,
you're going to get a little bit of that, and I'm in. I love it.
You've kind of evened the sides a little bit though, because stateside you've got now Keith Merrow on guitars, and he's from Oregon, if I got it right.
He is. He's also in the Portland area, as I am now, and as Simon is now, actually. So we actually have three members of the band. Yeah, man. We have three members of the band living in Oregon now, and it's just a game changer. It really is. It's been tremendous. I mean, we have some work to do over the course of the next few days, and I'm just coming from Keith's studio right now. We're fully immersed. We're in the middle of a project like now. And it's been tremendous, dude. Keith is just such a top-notch person and musician and cinematographer, and this dude is just he's the all-in-one kind of cat, and it's been amazing. It really has been amazing, and a very smooth addition. Something that we weren't necessarily looking for, quite honestly. I mean, we've been open-minded to such things, but again, it's we've been in bands for mad long already, dude. We know what it is, and if we could limit, if we could set limits in certain areas where we feel like we can produce some really great stuff and limit the mouths, that's a lot of times that's a good way to go to try and get yourself off the ground, right?
Yeah.
So we try to keep it small and tight for a little bit. We have bass player friends and what have you, and we track everything else together or whatever, But when this guy comes out, this, I'm not, kind of, sort of, a little bit. Nightmare happened to do a tour in 2019, and one of the photos was from the Portland show. It wound up on social media, and Keith said something along the lines of, I'm not going to quote him, but it was I'm sad I missed the show or whatever. And then he and Simon began conversing, and yeah, I mean, it just kind of happened pretty quickly and pretty fluidly, and has worked out really, really well. The guy is a treat, tremendous. And so, yeah, we've evened the playing field, our dumb jokes, their dumb jokes. It's sick. You know what I mean? We have a blast, we have a blast. It's been great so far.
So you mentioned, did he do the direct this new video you guys just released? The song.
Well, actually, yeah.
Torf, I can't pronounce it. Torf Bethel.
Torf Bethel. Yeah. And I'm even saying it worse than obviously my bandmates would, right? But he had a heavy hand in it, obviously. But really, the majority of everything. Yeah, for sure. He's very well versed in that world. Obviously, he's made a career of such things with his own personal work, through social media, through Schecter Guitars, through his projects. He's done a number of tremendous projects. Much less his own material. His solo stuff is amazing as well. Yeah, I mean, he did that Conquering Dystopia stuff with Loomis and frickin', and Webster and whatever. And he's such a top-notch guy. It's just such a pleasure to have such a down-to-earth and such, a dialed-in artist on the team. It is beautiful, dude. Absolutely. So, yeah, as far as a little bit of directing, as far as structure goes, yeah, he definitely has a good hand in it. But I will say, much like everything else in the group, and I'm not even exaggerating, we made it all happen together. Honestly, we're moving pieces, we're moving parts, we're all getting it done at the same time, and pretty much how that video went. It was all hands on deck, and it really was a lot of fun. It was fluid and fun.
I really encourage the listeners to check out that new video by Nightmare for your single. I'm gonna spell it out for the people that want to look it up. TAUFBEHEFL. Our German-speaking listeners. Shout out to my cousin-in-law. Gonna get that one better than me. But a really interesting video. It's got this kind of antiquated like court of judgment, possibly a cult, just kind of really dark, weird vibe, man. It's a really like oppressive, scary vibe that fits the music as a visual perfectly. And that's, you mentioned this band Valborg, right?
Yeah.
The two guys from that band, they're in the video too, also like adding vocals. They appear in the video as well, right?
Correct. Well, they're not physically in the video. Their vocals are in the video, Christian and Jan, and these are again old friends from Europe, friends of Simon. Chris is a ridiculous musician. He does Labyrinth of Stars, Valborg. He's doing a project, I believe it is completely solo, called Owl. And you can find a lot of this stuff, again, on the in-house label that we have going on, Total Dissonance Worship. He's released a couple of cassettes through Simon's label and what have you. And, yeah, like, we've known the caliber of these dudes for a long time now. And it's always been like, we got to do something with these dudes, man. Like, these guys it's too good. It's too good, man. You know, like, every project that they produce is just next level material, you know, like, and singing and choirs and it's all them. It's all, you know what I mean? It's all this one group of kids, you know, I'm still in that mindset, but you know, there's all this one group of guys over there, over in Germany that are just such phenomenal musicians that we're able to tap into because of just like-minded stuff and friendships over the years that have been built. And, yeah, they lent the vocals, the German vocals. All the lyrics are theirs, okay? These two gentlemen created the lyrics for the song. We pieced it together, German and English lyrics, both them. And, man, I mean, we're just, like, reading the lyrics, you know, and having things deciphered for me. And then, you know, just, like, reading the lyrics and just, like, how miserable can it get? You know what I mean? Like, let's see how bad it could really get, you know. And these guys, they're able to touch that level that we love to dabble into, you know. So it was a lot of fun, and it just was very, very smooth. And Simon and Paul, obviously being native speakers, were able to take those roles on and you know, nail the performance for the video.
They kind of played those parts of the vocals for the video. Again, really,
honestly, it's
interesting video.
Go on. Yeah, I mean, well, they kind of like it's interesting because it's almost as if like I don't know, it fits so well. It's almost as if they're doing it, you know, like legit, like that. It could be their voices, like for real, because I know, you know what I mean, like. And if they were to manipulate a little bit, that could easily be them. Like I'm not even kidding, and it just worked out really, really well. Yeah, I'm just super happy about that because that could be something that could, like, you know, these people are halfway across the planet, dude. You know what I mean? Like, you never know, man. You never know how something like that's going to work. And for it to just be boom, a home run, like, oh, man, it's just a pleasure, man. Awesome.
Definitely recommend
so
that.
Great.
And that's your upcoming album, Deformity Adrift. May 5th, 2023 coming out. People can go to Bandcamp or whatever platform. You have another single out for that. You want to tell me just a little bit more, anything else about the album you want to get into, maybe for people who are familiar with previous material, what they should expect? Do you have any touring coming up or like just anything about this brand new album, new projects that you want to get into?
Sure. I mean, we have two singles out now. The first one was Throw of Illicit Withdrawal. And now we're on to Taufbeffel. We have a couple of more things in the pipeline for sure, coming before the official release. We're hard at work right now, and yeah, I mean, this is some darker stuff. I mean, it is what it is. The band is going to progressively get darker, right? It's just what it is. It's who we are as people. It's what we observe, and it's what we put into our music. So it's just grittier. I can't stand when it's, oh, this is the heaviest thing we've ever put out. You know, okay, like, what does that mean? You know, like, I'm telling you that this is a nastier record, that this is just what it is. It's a grittier album that we all can hang our hats on and be like, that's, like, it's crushing, and we feel that way, like straight up and down. We feel very, very happy with the piece of material we're sharing with everyone, for sure. That being said, the majority of this stuff, drums for sure, were recorded pre-COVID. You know what I mean? Like, this has been a process for us.
Yeah.
We have been calculating this since the beginning, since all that happened. Like, we were ready to go, February 2020 with this. But what are we going to do now? You know what I mean? It literally all happened in that moment. And we were lucky enough, to have, internally to be like, okay, guys, just chill. Because we're hot now. You know what I mean? We're ready to, like, internally, the drums are tracked. It's time. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go. You know what I mean? We just did a tour. We had just come off a tour with Dark Funeral, Incantation, Belphegor. We did a really nice run. We're ready to go into the next album cycle. You know how it is, man. We're ready to go, and like, just the rug got pulled out from everybody, and it is what it is. But we decided to just kind of hold off. We acquired the artwork back then. We've been sitting on the album artwork for years now. You know what I mean? Like, we've been really holding on tight to do this, the way that we really wanted to, and so far so good. It's a changed world. Let's not kid ourselves. The music industry is night and day from what it was even the beginning of the pandemic. It's just what it is. Things have changed dramatically. But do I have any regret in waiting? No, I don't. We're all very, very, excited to finally bring it to everyone's ears. That's just what it is. We waited a good amount of time to get this done, and we feel good, and we hope everyone enjoys it. Absolutely. This is what it is.
All right, man. I encourage everyone to check this out, especially given this insight you gave us into it. And, John, being respectful of your time, you've been very generous with your time to explain your story and all these different facets of it. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having. I mean, it's all love, bro. It's all love. You know how it is. You and me. It's been years, dude, for sure. So it's a pleasure to talk to you. Just generally.
I love talking to people and meeting new people through the podcast, but it's great to catch up with somebody such as yourself, who I haven't spoken to regularly in a few years. But it's kind of like you've always been there on the journey, like adjacent. You know what I mean? We're the same age. We kind of got into it the same, Castle Heights and all this stuff. So memory lane, man. Well, one more trip down memory lane, because I'm about to hit you with the heavy hole closeout question. Is, can you recommend an older album and a newer album, just for me and the listeners? Anything from your personal favorite albums, metal or otherwise, whatever you want. Just something old and something new to recommend to the listeners to check out.
Honestly, guys, I'm sorry. I can't stop with the hip hop.
Great. I love it.
I'm telling you, I've been listening to this kid Rome Streets for a minute now, bro. I don't know if are you on this kid right now at all? Rome Streets.
This is the first I've heard of it. I'm not up on a lot of new school stuff, though, man. I'm living in the 90s.
No. What I'm telling you is, like, this is what we listen to. These are young. There's some people coming out that are like our age, but are getting some scratch. They're getting some play now,
Yeah.
And this kid, it's very, very, it's very authentic. It's dirty, So, like, I've been listening to what it's the record. It's called "Wasn't Built in a Day." It's new. It came out like last week or something like that. But, like, this is the new one I've been listening to. I'm sorry, I'm going in reverse because, like, I literally was just geeking out on this album. This guy did a new song with Method Man. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I'm loving it. I'm loving this.
And what's the guy's name one more time?
Rome Streets.
Rome Streets. Got it. Okay, got to look into that, man. And I love when people bring hip hop suggestions into the podcast, man. Switch it up. It's great.
And so the other new stuff that I've been listening to is Disgrace. Like the band Morier. I don't know if you've heard of this group. It's actually a black metal band. They're called Morier from France. And, like, I'm not a huge black metal guy, just generally, right? It just I have my guys, you know, I have my stuff that I listen to, but I'm not really heavy in that world. These guys just have the groove element, like, and the ambient element just locked in. I don't know what to say, dude. They did a record this last year, but that's like one of the newer metal albums that I've been listening to, just kind of on repeat. And again, the band is Mourier. It's Mourrir, and the album is called Disgrace. Like, these guys are unbelievable, dude.
I'm not up on that either, man. But that's why I ask. That's good.
Yeah, no doubt. Cool. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, listen, Surrealistic Madness, Candiria, just listen to that. I don't want to talk about nothing else, bro. That's it, period.
Yes, Surrealistic Madness by
albums,
Candiria.
Come on, man. That's it. Just listen to that and shape your mind. That's all. I don't know what to tell you, bro. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, just ride on the LIRR for an hour with Candiria playing, man, and just lose yourself.
And for me, it was the E Train. I swear to you, dude, it was the E Train. That was it. I'm going to look. I'm on my way to either Bleecker Bob or Generation, and I'm listening to damn Surrealistic Madness, bro. And I'm going to buy, you know what I mean, everything under the sun. You know, so these are just the records I grew up on. You know. We could throw Coalesce in there too. We could talk about Coalesce too. That's another band.
Underrated band. Coalesce. Underrated
Huge
band for
bro.
sure.
Huge band.
Interesting band.
Coalesce. Yeah, I love all that stuff. Yeah, I love all that stuff. But
Botch on the comeback now. I'm waiting for Coalesce to drop some comeback stuff and but like I'm waiting for Coalesce to catch some steam with the younger generation that's peeling back all these old records. You know.
I hope so. Look, I mean, it is what it is. Like it. If you don't know Coalesce, I'm sorry. You know, period. That is fire. That
give them rope.
Fire.
Yeah, like, give them rope.
Oh my goodness, dude! Like, I still be watching. I watch the old video cassette, you know, like live performances from friggin', you know, Kansas City, Missouri, whatever. You know, like drums getting thrown off the stage, like the most violent music that you ever seen in your life, coming from some kids in the Midwest. You know what I mean? And they're just breaking 3 guitars a show. But it's tight somehow. What?
And they were like mathy in a weird way. They were like they would do some weird shit musically, man. They were awesome. Yeah, Coalesce, great band.
Amazing. Coalesce, game changer band, bro. Oh my God. And even the last album they put out, Ox, like they put that out on Relapse or whatever. And they did that last album, and it was grown up Coalesce, and it was amazing. You know what I mean? It was super good.
Really good band.
After all those years. Yeah, I love that stuff, dude. Love that stuff. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome, man. Wow.
Candiria, Coalesce.
Yeah, dude, that's some classics right there. I got to look up this new stuff you brought to my attention, man. And also, everyone's got to look up Deformity Adrift. May 5th.
You, bro.
Yeah, May 5th, 2023. Your new album. Check out the video. Look up the new singles. Familiarize yourself.
Yeah, we got some more work coming. Definitely. You know what I'm saying? We're literally in the thick of it right now. So. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, we're having a lot of fun for sure. For sure.
John, thank you so much for your time, man. Any parting words for listeners of our show and fans of your band and your music?
Just keep the ears open. Always keep the open mind. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Always. You know, we're here now. You know, that's it. Yeah. Always keep the ears open. Never close that mind. Always. You know what I'm saying? Will, you're a pleasure of a human being. Always, dude. You're the man. You really are.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, and right back at you, man. It was a pleasure talking to you, man. And you know, you're always welcome on the platform, man. It was great catching up with an old friend, let alone having a great interview for the platform, man.
Cheers, bro. Thank you so much. You're the man, bro. You already know. Definitely, it's all love. Always. I'm gonna holler at you when I come, because I'm gonna come east. You know what I mean? Of course, obviously, I'm gonna holler at you. We're gonna get some food.
Hell yeah, John. Appreciate you, man. And of course, that's Nightmare with Deformity Adrift, the new album, May 5th, for all the listeners, man. Thank you, John. Thank you for your time, man. Have a great night.
It's a pleasure. You as well.